Hey folks, John Gelfand, following up on the ongoing hate case. It never ends. I have tried vehemently to obtain fair representation through attorneys and alternated with attempts to walk away, prolong this, and left with no choice, turned into authorities, then referred to IA that hopefully is going to help address this matter. And for those who have been following along, kind of know the situation, but I'm going to just scroll through this. You might want to replay this and read through the email or see, but I've got some points on the side as well. But it's carried on the ongoing escalation and brought in fraud and abuse with the switch in coordination with the 9/11 attack. We'll get to so much more in coordination with changing counties. And, we got the pushed and derailed informing that I spoke of before. Cannot be tolerated. Put that off the track and can kind of read through, see some of the matters. The other counties all being framed and the officers of the court in the middle of everything from attorneys, DAs, judges to police that have so prolonged this as attorneys just refuse to provide fair representation while instead inflicting hate in their own right. So, got the police brutality on the $2,600 conspiracy I talked about that my Georgia public defender claimed, which is just obnoxious and ridiculous to think that there'd be police brutality conspired among 3 police forces at all, let alone for $2,600. The threats going through and the claims and BH records that are now being leveraged against me with the blindsided DV I'll get into, that I couldn't complete my ADLs. They put me down as a severe marijuana user, which smoking like 4 to 5 times a month. I don't know where they diagnose the severe disorder with marijuana in a state where it's legal, but pretty sick and requires explanation. And the empowering of the major multinational corporation that has been used to drive terror into my family, that they were seeking retribution for my informing. I don't even know that they're involved, or if they were double-crossed. But that will be quickly determined, as will everything going through this coercion as a weak form of manipulation. We'll see. With people as well as, of course, the corporation. But killing and attacking my parents, the probation denials that, as I showed, improved. My probation transfers were never even requested, as they hung out 6 denials across 3 counties, and such vicious attacks on the last ones with Fulton that's targeting Atlanta PD. That beyond just attacking my parents, they've attacked my dad's service, and is one more reason I know authorities aren't involved, as I wouldn't be attacking our military like this group. The substitute DA tricked, and as I mentioned in here, the question for the DA with the forged pleas that gets into the malicious plea offers used with the forcing the plea to wrongful conviction that was built on obstructing child alienation. And again, with the DA, question is, with those malicious plea offers, they will clearly show forging. And I think you saw that in a prior post. And the question will be if the DA agrees. If not, both the revised and initial plea offers were signed prior to the initial plea offer being presented. So we'll see. Going on to the fact that they're intentionally methodically killing my ex-wife, exploiting their federal government. I now have attacks that have continued on with the IRS as threats that I touched on before, and now with the 9/11 attack, draining all the money from my account that I'll get to with Colorado Department of Revenue, as it just never ends. And you can see here the pushed delusion and fraud drugs, treat wrongfully obtained sanctions, and everything else in the massive conspiracy to force the unwarranted bankruptcy, stealing my home for $1.4 million. Money went somewhere. I paid like $66,000 in fees for the bankruptcy. They couldn't even pay the penalties, and are now exploiting our Department of Revenue, who again drained my accounts on 9/11. Every penny from checking and savings, because they never bothered to even pay the $60K after stealing $2 million in assets. Also, an example here of the getting into details of what, again, my public defender refused to address, that it was too extreme with police brutality conspired among 3 police forces. As I've shown, it was much more likely at the hands of attorneys, and it's just sick defamation against our police. Also, with the last civil assist, example here of some key points, including the tech-savvy blocking of my emails when I tried to gain support from the officers. That absolutely cannot be tolerated. Also, my military hero possession, my biggest possession I'd hope to pass on, my family left in pieces, bringing the trauma, duress, and after stealing nearly all my possessions, they again accused me of stealing, just like at the first civil assist, which is why I tried to gain support from the officers. The first civil assist being my 4-generation family heirloom wedding ring that was actually stolen from me, should have been returned, and of course my attorneys obstructed from addressing. But those are 10 quick key points on the civil assist, ending with the forced to return immediately, again on the false probation transfer denials, saying that Georgia just called and demanded my immediate return, making me go home after spending $3,500 with a nearly empty truck. Child pornography, that's so evident. The narcissist behind this made sure of it, that it's proven, planted, even with the sabotage forensics by my own attorneys. Even the non-forensics output files show it's been planted, programmatically added, but also gets into filing the complaint on behalf of my adult son. I've also since discovered that it wasn't even filled out by my ex-wife. So here I have a false complaint. This is in one of my later videos, but a complaint filed on behalf of my adult son but would never do such a thing. And further filed on behalf of my ex-wife with forgery, just like with the DA, it's forgery. And it raises a question: did my family even know I couldn't contact them those first few crucial months of the child alienation through the court? Never being able to see my son or talk to him even once since his dad was drugged and hauled away over 3.5 years ago. Hasn't even spoken to his mom or his grandma, I mean. And the extreme terror is just beyond inhuman. Children already in a severe critical state. Talked about that, but found out on Mother's Day, again in line with the sadistically unique date targeting that's so rampant it's a signature, that he's in a severe critical state, and as both my kids were already in horrible states prior to that. Tragically, I can only imagine how bad that really is. The fraud family integration therapist, he's been discussed in prior videos as well. Not even a qualified healthcare practitioner, had no right to be put as a barrier between children and their dad, and apparently, per my public defender, known to be a child abuser. And my question there is, how much longer are they going to allow that to continue? How many more children before he stopped? I can stop him now. Again, the acknowledged federal informing brought to such extremes with their also redirected claims as if my informing had been for personal, that my divorce attorney even deferred from addressing criminal matters in the divorce, as if our government would ever interject themselves in the divorce. Goes on with a few other things, self-harm in the videos, the utterly repugnant videos, and the acknowledgement with my co-founder's wife claiming her husband is a pedophile. Could be where she found out from obtaining the videos from him, and the aiding and abetting of a pedophile cannot be tolerated. Also the switch from acknowledging IP theft to later claiming a Ponzi scheme, and so much more with the intentional planted acknowledgements, falsehoods, inconsistencies, loopholes, planted, and discovery, police reports, and more. And scroll through this page. Again, you might have to pause on this stuff if you want to read through it, maybe go through a second time, but more just putting it out there. I am not really expecting support outside of getting it through our authorities. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in this is hate really isn't the nemesis of love, but indifference is. And it's sad, but still putting this stuff out there. And talked about all my second, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh Amendment rights. Can't even have a beer going through this, and then I get accused of a false dilute and my drug testing, which I'll get into a little more as I got to go in today, and questioning if that's going to be the turnaround. But move through that. This last piece was getting into the coercion on that with the false probation violations, where nobody could get away with that without the threat of jail, and that's about as mean as ruthless as it gets. Also, the coordinated transfer on my probation the very next day after my initial signing on the violations, coordinated and transferred in Colorado, the violations being in Georgia, and handing it over to another police force that is now putting my innocent PO on the line. And I don't think that would be done without foul play by attorneys and the other one-offs. So again, blaming matters obstructed in my divorce, but you can also see the coerced gun purchase. That's more than evident in videos. In text messages that I need to retrieve off my mysteriously broken phone while I was living with my co-founder and wife. Also talking about the taking away my Second Amendment rights, first with the initial claims I bought the gun to commit suicide, and then that I wanted my own son to kill me with it at the family separation plot, took away my Second Amendment rights. And now I'm at the risk of losing forever as the blindsided DV never even requested to be deferred, which is totally unheard of in our DV preventative state, and has now put me in intentional harm's way, potentially forever. Cannot be tolerated. Again, going into the threat. So the other redirected use of the gun, claiming that I was anti-FBI, anti-Republican, bought the gun to protect from them. And just to recap, the forging DA signatures, falsifying complaints, framing counties, all of which are shown to be framed, even proven for some of the attacks, and risking my right to bear arms forever, just on and on and on. And I'm hoping to get support from authorities with this. And like I said, there's always a flip side to things. So yeah, I do hope to get to support, and I hope they don't allow these mental health experts who are so teed up, sabotaging our systems, institutions, just like with other things stuff being redirected against me. If you recall from a video prior, the IRS with the threat to seize my property due to the unpaid tax penalties, it's discussed in here in detail. But I did finally get, after my appeal, I did finally get a refund, just $10, but I'm sure that was overpayment for the estimating the daily interest that again went to $62K total. That also threatened to take my passport. But as you can see, while I got that refund check on 8/2, thought it was done. Well, I never heard anything from the Department of Revenue. Again, in line with the sadistic date targeting for which 9/11's been attacked every year. Department of Revenue, also for the unpaid tax penalties, took every penny out of my checking, every penalty out of my savings. Again, on 9/11. It's absolutely sick with this domestic terror group, and really pains me. So then 6 days later, wait in line, coordinated with the bankruptcy. I got a letter of the bankruptcy payout, and according to this, after stealing my $2 million in assets, including stealing our home, that $1.4 million went somewhere. You can see kind of the breakdown here, almost $50,000 to the cost of it, which with the other $20K paid and my divorce attorney and the flat fee bankruptcy that should have been used instead of my attorney, cost about $66,000 to file the bankruptcy. Don't know how much my family spent, my ex-wife, but it's a lot of money for having nothing paid. Again, you see the home credits owed, mortgage, what was left on the $1.4 million, and again, their house stolen through that wrongful adversarial complaint. You can see here it was never paid off. So stole their home, didn't pay the debts, certainly paid the trustee bankruptcy attorney, some other attorney that I never heard of for 15 grand. Paid for the 2022 taxes that turned out were never even filed, but are on file with the bankruptcy court, having been filed, and of course billed here. Would have never paid that amount for such simple taxes, but they never even got filed, and that was part of what I reported to the IRS. According to this, IRS wasn't paid, and in contradiction, it shows here that Department of Revenue was paid, but as you saw, the Department of Revenue took all my money, so it doesn't seem they were paid. Makes me wonder what's to come with the next wrongful arrest. Also not paying off my credit cards, so essentially nothing got paid. $2 million in assets stolen, didn't pay my penalties, didn't pay the credit cards, and that was all the debt. With $2 million in assets, if it weren't for the wrongful adversarial complaint with the false $1.3 million proof of claim to steal my home and the other assets stolen, bankruptcy would have never been justified. But again, you can see, just it's unbelievable how they pocketed $2 million out of this bankruptcy, didn't pay the debts, and that breaks my heart. And then they leave the unpaid tax penalties, through which I got the threat again with the season the IRS and my account's drained at 9/11. Also in coordination with this, got a letter regarding the appeal. I'm not going to go into that IRS because hopefully that gets resolved, but I am hoping they look at other matters like the unpaid tax filings. And then we got the drug and alcohol testing. So I haven't been able to even have a beer in a year almost, and it doesn't really matter. It's one of my basic human rights taken away that bothered me. But like I talked about in my summary, but you can see here on March 13th, they switched me over to a lab. We've had tampering with my blood work, everything from the double the breathalyzer blood results in my DUI, that along with the public defender who refused to defend me, resulted in the DUI that was coordinated with my being accused of a pedophile in Colorado at the same time I was arrested, probably used to manipulate police. But see here, again, the switch to the lab, and then my 5G test that came back dilute. And you also notice here too that the specimen gets destroyed in a week. But a couple interesting things here. So while the test was on 5.2, on 5.9 I get notified, and I'm claiming the dilute, which again, if you watch the false probation violations video, was even acknowledged, wasn't even a violation of the requirement claimed, just like the 3 financial violations that now so threaten me with the added 1K theft that's talked about, and ties right into the 2,600 theft I spoke of. So another interesting thing here is the dilute itself. So you can see I was tested on 5.2, got the results back 5.3. Now these are mailed to Arizona. I've never gotten the next day results. You can see here, test on 5.16, results 5.21, test on 6.5, results 5.7, test on 6.11, results 6.14, 6.27 test, results 7.1, 7.2 test, results 7.5, 7.17 test, results 7.19, 8.7, results 8.12, 8.14 to 8.16. There's just no next day results. I mean, it takes a day to mail it. Another attack, and again, 29th, taken to the 3rd, the following month, and 9/6, 9/12 results, takes time, and then the 9/11, didn't get results till 9/16. I thought that was the attack for the year, ended up being the Department of Revenue, taking my money, but the extra 5 days of duress, really thought this was going to be the next one to have me wrongfully kept incarcerated again, which again, if you haven't seen the false probation violations, you'll see how teed up that is. And I'm testing today, they know what a big deal Halloween is, which is why I'm pushing this out. Because I'm going to be surprised if this will be the next wrongful one to have me incarcerated. That coordinated with the destroyed background that there's no denying, as I'm being charged $1K a month with the DV clinic due to child pornography, which actually has nothing to do with DV. We'll see. But again, I'm going to get support here from our authorities. Love y'all.